myself Vaibhav. In today's session, we are seeing the Euro USD hovering closer to 1.185, and it looks likely that the Euro USD has reached its bottom in the near term, and we can expect a move towards 1.19. And if we consider the Friday's movement after the release of non-farm payroll data, I think we have the higher probability of our technical analysis holding well. So we will be looking for the trading opportunities in the Euro USD in light of these changing circumstances. We will see if we can profit from the turning of tide for the Euro USD. So let's get started. If we consider the data rocket for the day, apart from the PMI releases, which were final readings for major economies of the Euro area, we don't really have market moving releases. And for the US session, I think it is almost blank. So moving back to the economic data which we got in the European hours, we have this revision for the services PMI as well as composite PMI for the month of June. These are final readings, and the services PMI has been confirmed at 58.3, which is the fastest pace of expansion seen in the services economy since 2007. So this gives you the idea of how well the European economies are doing, and the service sector in particular. And this has also propelled the composite PMI higher, and it has also been revised higher to 59.5. And as a result of that, we also saw a short-lived, albeit, bump in the Euro USD. But after that, it has now gone back closer to the day's low, and right now it is almost flat for the day. And I think for today's session, the Euro USD is likely to spend the day in consolidation phase. And if it holds its ground, if it doesn't really break on the lower side below the prior swing low, then by the time we come back for trading in tomorrow's session, we will have a lot higher probability of Euro USD starting its new leg higher. And if we go into the details of these PMI numbers, we have the expansion at a particularly fast pace in leisure and hospitality industry. And also, if we consider the growth in manufacturing sector, that has been holding steady for last couple of months, so that has given us a composite PMI reading closer to 60, and I think for this month it is precisely at 59.5, which is also of course higher than the prior month. So that also signifies that not only the expansion is happening at a fast pace, but even in terms of month on month, it is rising, it is growing faster. So that's quite a good development for the euro area. And if you consider the developments in the equity side, we have most of the equity indices for the euro area trading with slight gains. The gains are not that pronounced. I think in most of the key equity indices, the gains are somewhere closer to the half a percentage point. And now, if we look at the US equity indices future, now that we are not much far off from the start of the session, there also the undertone is pretty much bullish. And I think for today's session we are likely to see this continuation in the upward trajectory, but the pace is going to be incremental, and we are not really likely to see some big move happening in today's session. Rather than that, a sideways kind of momentum with flat to positive bias can be expected. Now let's shift our attention to the technical side. First, we will consider the Euro USD's technical outlook, and then we will also see how the DAX is likely to behave and what are the trading opportunities emerging in it. Let's start with the Euro USD's technical outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and we have this bottoming out for the Euro USD on the lower side. We had this prior low formed closer to 1.185, and this time around also, if we go by the day's closing, the closing low is closer to that level only. If we look at the intraday low, it was closer to 1.18, but the reversal was sharp and it happened after the release of non-farm payroll data. Now for today's session, as I said earlier, the movement so far has been sideways with a bit of bullish underlying bullishness in the movement, and I think it will be important for the Euro USD to close the day above the 1.185, and if that happens, if we don't really see a break below these prior closing lows, then I think, as I am expecting the Euro USD to start its new leg higher and in course of time. Of course, that is from the medium term perspective. We can even expect the Euro USD to try to get back closer to these prior swing highs of around 1.195. So if we have to consider for the trade, we will have to pay attention to the immediate swing low, and for that we can rely on the lower time frame charting. If we consider the technical formation for these two parameters, the regression curve and the pivot point series, both are still bearish. We can't really say that the trend has changed from the medium term to longer term perspective, and we are only relying on short term reversal retracement here, and for that the price action is going to hold the key, and on the lower side we will have to uh, watch out for the price action, and it should be respecting its prior swing lows, and after that, if it conforms to our expectation, we can expect a move towards this central pivot point at the very least, and if we consider this regression curve, it is likely to flatten moving forward as the price action has been in the upper band for quite a while. So as a result of that, this earlier steep incline is now flattening to some extent, and if the price action continues with this slight bullish momentum, we are likely to see that over the next couple of days, this Euro USD's regression curve flattening even more. So if we have to go for the trade in today's session, the low on the 50 SMA, closer to 50 SMA, should be a key determinant of the trading opportunities. And for us, the Euro USD should hold above, continue to trade above this immediate low, the day's low of around 1.185. The 50 SMA can be utilized as a critical marker, and as long as price action is above it, we can be fairly confident of going for the long trade with expectation of a move towards 200 SMA from the intraday perspective. And as I said, it is not for today's session. I am not really expecting any big move, but of course, we can't really rule out anything. But probabilistically speaking, the Euro USD is likely to spend today's session mostly in a sideways manner, and in that we have to see that it doesn't really break below these prior swing lows, and only if sustains itself above the day's low, above the prior swing low, then only we will have to go for a long position. Otherwise, it will be better for us to sit on the sidelines. And in light of this price formation, if we consider these prior swing highs acting as a resistance, in today's session we saw this reversal of sort happening after the Euro USD got closer to this prior swing high. So this is going to be the immediate hurdle for the Euro USD to cross, and we can utilize this convergence of 50 and 100 SMAs as a area of interest for us. So price action should remain confined within these narrow range, and a break on the higher side will going to get us a new opportunity to get involved. So that's my take looking at the current formation of the Euro USD. Now moving to the equity side, where the instrument of choice is the DAX, the leading index for the Germany. Here the daily time frame chart suggests us that the DAX has spent almost more than a week now in a very narrow range, consolidating closer to the 15,500 level. The momentum, if we look from the longer term perspective, has been bullish, but for last couple of weeks it has been more of sideways. We don't really have much move on the either side, and the range has narrowed over the period of time. And in today's session, we saw that the DAX had earlier declined closer to 15,500, but from those levels it has reversed sharply, and now it is inching back closer to the 15,700 mark. And I am expecting this formation to hold well, and in course of time we can expect the DAX to again try getting closer to the record highs of around 15,800. So if we have to go for the trade, looking at the lower time frame charting, we will have to keep in mind that we have this critical support around 15,550, which is the central pivot point for this month's pivot point series, and that's where the DAX is finding its buying support on the lower side. And as you can observe here, we will do well to respect these levels and go for the buy trade only if we see this momentum sustaining. So on the lower side, the stop loss can be placed below this central pivot point. I think the stop loss anywhere closer to 15,500 should serve us well, and with that we can expect the move toward this first resistance of this month's pivot point series. And it might take time, it might take a couple of days, but the probability looks good to me. If you consider the regression curve, it has started to incline on the lower side after the formation of this sharp decline here. And uh, after that, we didn't really see a new swing high formation, and as a result of that, there is a regression curve flattened at first and then slowly started to incline on the lower side. But given the fact that price action is still in the upper band, I am expecting the central pivot point to be more of an influencing factor, and as long as price action remains above it, we can be fairly confident of the continuation of the underlying bullish tone. So if we have to go for the trade, then we will have to rely on this convergence of these three key SMAs. We have 50, 100 and 200 SMAs converging closer to the 15,600 level, and this is the price area which is going to get us the optimum risk reward ratio also. So for any new trade, this is the price range which can be targeted while keeping the stop loss closer to the day's low or just below that. As I explained to you on the 4 hourly chart also, we have the central pivot point around the same region. So this is the price range I'm expecting the DAX to respect, and for the continuation of bullish trajectory, it is going to be important. And on the higher side, we can expect a break below these prior swing highs, and that is going to get us the risk reward ratio of little over 1:1. Here, the risk reward ratio is not exactly that great, but the formation gives us enough confidence that we are more likely to end up in profit than in losses. Of course, no trade is certain, but still we can take the bait here. Now it's time for the risk disclaimer. The trading involves the financial risk, and the information should be used accordingly. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind that we are providing links to the Lucoscopy Analytics page if you want to go for further coverage of the market developments for various other instruments, and also some in-depth analysis of the fundamental developments over the day. You can refer to that. And if you want to start trading and explore the JForex platform, the link for that is also provided. And if you have any difficulty installing it, you can write to me in the feedback section. And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. Our Facebook page link has also been provided. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous day ahead. See you next time. Goodbye.